Hey there, my name is Michaela, and I'm a 28-year-old mom of 2 girls under 4.
And my name is Patty, a 34-year-old mom of 2 boys also under 4.
And we are the hosts of What's Up, Mom, a podcast about kids, friendship, and navigating the always changing world of modern motherhood.
So grab that cold brew or margarita, we don't judge, and crank up those noise-canceling headphones because this week's episode starts now. Are you getting mold testing in your house?
Probably. We're gonna do one of those Amazon at-home kits to kind of just have a baseline, and then I'm gonna find a company to inspect.
Do the company. We did the mold test and it did not work, and I'm convinced that we have mold. Convinced.
Yeah, I don't think the tests pick up on everything, but that's just the trail of events that will occur.
Just living in Michigan, just constantly in a flood zone and snow. It's fine. All right, so okay, nothing's happened with your family. Nothing's happened with mine either. Thanks for asking. We have been completely just not doing anything. Yesterday we went to Target. That was our big let's leave the house activity, and we left. And it sucked because my husband came along. It wasn't sucky because he accompanied me. It's sucky because Target for women is like therapy. And I feel like when you walk in, you need to just let your freak flag fly.
You just need to spend the money, man.
You got to walk through every aisle. It's an experience, you got to get your coffee. You got to, you start off in the dollar section. You grab your cart, you wipe it down. It's like, do you feel
I'm feeling euphoric.
Right now?
I'm feeling, yes,
right? You're starting to feel it. It's filling you up as I speak to you about it.
Next time I want therapy, I'm going to tell my fiance we can do couples therapy or we can spend $100 at Target.
But here's the thing though. This is why it wasn't as good as it normally is, because my husband was with me. And as we're walking through the aisles, and I've blacked out at this point and I'm just grabbing things off of the shelves. He's like, I don't think we need that. And I'm like, what? And he snapped me out of the Target high. And I was like, you're right. And I'm like, let's just go get strawberries or something because we definitely need that. And it just ruined the whole thing. And I'm like, we're just going to get stuff we need, I guess. It's fine. And we left. And then I legitimately went to Target alone today. And I'm like, gotta restart this feeling again. So went, and I feel better. I feel like maybe that would have saved me in my postpartum depression. If I had been able to leave the house during COVID to go to Target, I feel like that would have saved me a lot of strife.
I had to do some major checking in with myself today. I got Charlotte a bunch of princess dresses on Facebook Marketplace, like 30 dresses for $50. It's a great deal. She found them in the closet during her quiet time today, so they were all over the bedroom by the time that was over. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Home Depot and I'm going to buy everything I need to make her a wardrobe. And I spent an hour at Home Depot looking at building plans, getting all the supplies. Like I downloaded the Home Depot app. This episode is sponsored by this episode is not sponsored by Home Depot, and then as I was going to ask someone to cut the 9 by 2 3/4 inch piece of plywood into 8 different pieces that I would then take home with me and start building, I was like, wait a minute. You can't build? Like, what are you doing? This is way too ambitious.
Did you black out in Home Depot?
I did. I was like, I went in for a bathroom hook and I spent an hour. Thank goodness I didn't get anyone to cut anything. I had you
would have had to buy it.
I had a moment where I'm like, you are being way too ambitious. This is not going to happen. Put it all back.
This is like every millennial trying to start a project. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do like a cute accent craft wall. And then you realize how much time it actually takes.
And how much effort and how specific. Yeah.
And it's like, Pinterest ain't for everybody, guys. Sometimes it's just IKEA.
Just get the stuff from IKEA, and you know what? Take it a step further and then hire their service to put it together for you, because the second you get that dresser home, you know you're going to be staring at it for 5.5 hours and probably put it together wrong 4 times before you get it right, because it's all pictures.
I truly believe that if your marriage can withstand putting together the Malm IKEA dresser that everybody has, it's like MALM. Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 drawers, you know, those little fucking wooden things.
The cheapest one there.
That go in. It's like $49 and you're like, yeah, this will do.
It is not sturdy at all.
Not sturdy. It falls and it needs to be mounted to the wall. There's a whole like recall about it. I think that if you can get through that, you can do almost anything. I mean, you know, couples therapy helps, obviously, but the mom dresser, man, that's the test. They're like, you guys can't get through this without fighting at least 10 times, then maybe you should just call it quits.
So
we have 2, so.
We also have 2. And you know what? One day I pushed the drawer in so hard it broke. So I really have like 1.5. 2 drawers I have just, you can't use them anymore. Anyway.
Perfect.
Patty, are you currently working on yourself? Have you ever sat down for therapy before or after kids? And did it look different if you did?
Oh my God. Yes. So I don't remember when I started. Actually, no, I do. 2000 and I think 15 or 14. And I don't remember really why I started. I think I just wanted to figure out why I was the way I was, and just like a pure curiosity. And remember, like, I lived in Canada, so it was like, okay, if I go to the therapist that I choose, I don't have to pay all that much, and you know, it's covered. And so it was just like a curiosity. I'm like, why am I the way that I am? And I stuck with her for a good 1.5 years, and I really did like her. And then I moved to the US and I'm like, I really need a therapist. And I found one. And she was with me probably through the first year of Lorenzo's life. And then I just kind of she didn't hit after a certain amount of time. And then I found the current one that I'm with and I love her. So I would say every 2 weeks or so ish. And she's lovely. And I do say that, like, I feel like she validates a lot of what I say as well, which is very nice and quite the ego boost in terms of all of my problems. How about you?
Oh yeah. I've been in and out of therapy my whole life. I mean, like from young age. But
What triggered it? What was your triggering moment where you're like, we should talk to somebody?
I actually went when I was young. Like my mom would take me when I was young. But in my adolescence, I think I was maybe 15, sophomore in high school, was like that next like stage in my life where I needed just a little bit of guidance. It just, you know, so many transitions in life, and that was a big one. Like sophomore year, you're hitting like 15, 16 years old, you're in high school, social groups, and you're figuring out, you know, yourself and how to be a functioning member of society and interact with peers. It was a really rough time for me. But I stuck with, I mean, I bounced back and forth between different types of therapy and different therapists, but I need one. I think I need one, but I don't know how I could find the time to like fit it into, you know, the schedule, to fit it into a every other week or, you know, 3 weeks. I don't even.
Do you like going in person or do you like telehealth?
I'd have to go in person because it like gives me something to like get out of the house and go to.
Have you tried telehealth?
It feels so impersonal.
The question was, did you try it?
I did telehealth with doctor's appointments.
Nope. Not the same.
Then
And I agree with you. It is completely impersonal with doctors. 100%. I had to ask my OBGYN during COVID for antidepressants while I was in the midst of postpartum depression over Zoom. Okay. And I had to wait for someone to let me into the lobby, if you know how Zoom works, where it's like, your provider is waiting, you know, they're going to let you into the lobby. And I had to say the word like depression like 8 times. It was hard enough to say it once. And I remember being on the phone with one of my girlfriends who was, I would say she's just like an expert in depression. And, you know, she, shout out Road Dog, you know who you are. And I called her and I'm like, I can't see straight. I am maniacally cleaning breast milk off of the floor and I can't stop cleaning it because if I don't clean it, the house isn't clean and I feel dirty and the baby's dirty and I'm losing my absolute bananas. And she's like, hi, okay, so you're having an episode. You should call your doctor. I'm like, that sounds really daunting. I don't think I can do that. And she's like, how about you FaceTime me and you just tell me that you're depressed over the phone and maybe it's going to be easier. I'm like, that won't be, I can't say that. And she's like, you're going to try to do it. I'm like, fine. And I think she recognized how like it manifested because I'd never like been talking to her the way that I had been talking to her before. And she was like, yeah, you might want to call somebody. So I ended up getting on the phone with my OBGYN. And you know how you call it and it's like, oh, you know, press 2 for the nurse's station or whatever. I'm like, I don't even know who I'm supposed to talk to. I don't know who I'm supposed to press the number for. So I'm like, hello, 2, you know? And they're like, hi, what would you like? I'm like, so I just had a baby and I don't know if I'm feeling okay. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Like you can hear them typing in the background. What do you mean? Are you having cramps? Are you bleeding? You know, is there any issues at all? And I'm like, well, I have reread the same shampoo bottle 42 times and I can't move my legs. And they're like, oh, okay. That sounds interesting. And I'm like, so just can I talk to the doctor? And they're like, well, what would you like to talk to him about? I'm like, depression. And the nurse goes, oh, okay. So you're not your mood is down. I'm like, is that how we're saying it now? And I thought that was I'm like, that's how they say it in the office. Like, that's how they do it. So you don't like intimidate the woman that's on the phone. So she's like, let me transfer you to his secretary. His secretary? I don't want to say it again. And she's like, she'll schedule you with him immediately. I'm like, I don't want to admit this to another human. And she's just like, it's okay. Just say it. It's going to be fine. The secretary's going to get you scheduled. He'll reach out to you in 20 minutes. I'm like, this is terrible. So they transfer me to the secretary and I'm like, hi there. I'm depressed. And they're like, oh, okay. So your mood's feeling down? I'm like, no, I'm depressed and I'm going to jump off my roof. So if someone could give me a fucking SSRI, that would be great. And as soon as she's like, okay, I'll get Dr. Whoever the hell on the phone for you. I'm like, thanks. And the worst part is it was a dude. So he gets full frontal, like he's got the camera on. He's like, oh, hello, Miss Bomarito. What are we in for today? Your fucking secretary didn't tell you? Or the woman at the front? No, I have to say it again. Okay. And I'm like, I had a baby 2 months ago. I'm pretty sure you delivered it. And I was just wondering if you could just diagnose me with something with depression. And he's like, again, he goes, oh, we're having low moods. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, no, I'm not having low moods. I'm sitting in the dark crying, okay? It's getting weird over here. If you could help, that'd be great. And as he's looking at me, he goes, okay, let me just send you that Zoloft. My friend is on the phone going, great job, dude. You did it. Like, you did it. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Chris walks in with the baby and the baby's crying. And like, I start crying because I'm like vulnerable within like 3 people, like the freaking doctor, my friend, my husband, the baby, like, oh, terrible mom. And he's like, I'm gonna send you the prescription. It's at the. I'm like, great. I hang up the phone. Chris is like, what was that about? Nothing. Could you go to Rite Aid and pick up that prescription? Chris is like, what? I'm like, I'm depressed. He's like, are you? No shit. I'm like, thanks for your support. It's fine. But like, no, like joking aside and like hilarious Muttley laughing aside, like it's serious. And I have never felt that way before where I'm like, this is awful. I hate everything about my body. I don't like this kid. I did not have the connection every mother has where they look at them. Oh my God, this beautiful angelic baby that came flying out of my Yahoo. No, I had it cut out of me in a traumatic experience where all of my type A, when C-section was not even on my fucking radar. And they were like, we're just going to throw you for a real big loop here. I remember not even wanting to look at the baby when he came out of me. I'm like, this isn't a good start. It's fine. Firstborn. Cool.
But all jokes aside, no, I think I'm finally coming out of postpartum with Cecilia. I'm like a year out of it now. But it's only been like a couple weeks where I feel like, wow, like this is what it feels like to be me again. You completely lose yourself. And it sucks so bad because when you're lost, you have no idea what it feels like to be back to normal again. And you want that. But like when you're in it, it's by no means is it like, I don't want to say it's like normal and common, but like that's your body is getting over just carrying and growing and delivering a child. Like that's a lot of trauma on the body and the mental health and the mental state. And then if you go through a traumatic birth, I think that makes it 100 times worse.
100%.
But each kid is different. Like Charlotte was my first daughter was I love this baby so much. I never want to put you down. You're like my little best friend. And then the second time around, I didn't feel the same as the first time around.
Oh yeah. I feel it, man. It's the worst. And the worst part too, I think, is that everyone tells you, like you ask. I don't think I asked any of actually I probably did. But everyone asked me, oh, aren't they just oh my God, aren't they just like God's blessing? And I'm like, I got shit on within 20 minutes and I couldn't walk to pick him up. And I got a pad the size of, like, I couldn't even tell you, 4 pads. A diaper, legitimate diaper. My husband had to physically lift my legs into bed and out of bed for me to even walk. And then when we were home, he had to lift me out of bed. And I am not a small person. And Chris is not a bodybuilder. So like, not only are you like, oh, this baby needs help. Now your wife needs help. And
yeah,
it's just this devastation all around.
I didn't even think about that. Like the cesarean, like obviously is traumatic, but healing from that and taking care of a new baby,
impossible.
I didn't even think of what that entails. Like you have to have help.
Try leaning over a crib when you have an incision the size 9-inch incision. It's 3 days. 3 days if they let you during COVID. But yeah, I didn't have that connection. It was like, this is just with me now. I have to take care of this. And it came eventually, like I would say probably around the 7-month mark when he started sleeping was when I was like, all right, I'm gonna get used to you. You're pretty cool. Raphael, he flew out, man. And I don't know if that was manifesting or what, but I wanted that VBAC more than VBAC, for those paying attention, is a vaginal birth after cesarean. And the chances of you having one of those is 75% and a little bit higher if you're as stubborn as I am. But I went in and I'm like, we're midwifing. I don't want a doctor touching me. We are pushing this baby out. And the minute he was on me, it maybe took about 10 minutes, but it clicked way faster. And I was like, oh, hi, you're cute. I like you. You're a little snuggle butt. And to this day, he is a snuggle butt, except for recently. He's kind of becoming a bit of a dick, but that's because he's 20 months old or 19 months old, however old he is. He's changing. He's going through changes.
Cece today is climbing on everything. Like, if she can get her foot up on it, she's climbing it. So that's where we're at. But
I think we both have that second born that's just gonna curl our hair, man. It's like, he's cute. He's a brute. He fell on his face flat today and got up, and then it was like, ha. Oh, you okay, bro?
it's gonna be a lineman.
Look like no. Oh my god. Everyone says he's gonna be a linebacker, and me and Chris are like, he will not be in football. We will not be putting our children in football. It's like a hard no all the way around. We don't need concussions and CTE plaguing our family. Thank you. What was the one? Like, did you have PPA or PPD or PPR or PPO, which I think is a type of insurance? Actually, I think it is PMI. What do we got?
It is. It's a PPO.
Yeah, PPO. Right. Oh, PPO is also meant. It's also a type of healthcare.
I had a little bit of everything. So no,
what you in for, girl?
With Charlotte, first of all, I never thought I could have babies. Like, I was told, you and I had a conversation about PCOS. Like, I was told that because of what had happened to me and everything that was going on with my reproductive organs, that I could never have kids. So when I got pregnant with Charlotte, I was over the moon. I think I experienced a little bit of like prenatal depression, like toward the end. But after I had Charlotte, like, I became like, I think I was reborn again. I took her out of the house from like day 6 on, and it was during COVID, but we still went out and like to the park. We walked around, we went places. I took her out.
You were the tail end of COVID. You were 2021, right?
April. Yeah. But people still, I mean, it was still like social distancing and, you know, masks mandatory in places that I'd rather just stay home. But we went everywhere. She was literally my definition of a tiny best friend. So with Charlotte, no, I don't think I went through any of that. The second time around, I think I went through prenatal depression, prenatal anxiety, postpartum depression, anxiety, and I'm finding out that I think that I did have postpartum rage there for a little while. And I didn't know what that looked like until like looking back now. I'm like, wow, like that, all that anger, all that frustration, that was not normal. It's common, but like not normal, right? Like, you shouldn't be angry as I was. And I wish I would have known that at the time, because I think I would have reached out for more help. I'm like, oh, like depression. I've been through this. I could do this. I'm just depressed. Like, it's
punch a wall.
It's just a season. Like, I can handle this. But then I got really, really, really bad. And I wish that looking back, I wish I would have asked for more help, or, you know, demanded a Zoloft or something.
I think that anger for both of us is triggered by the exact same thing, which is the overstimulation.
The whining and the crying, yeah. Overstimulation.
And it's everything. It's like, oh, a bell dropped in the other room and you were cooking and the baby's crying at the same time. The dog barks, the doorbell rings, the TV is talking. You're like, fuck! And then the one kid comes over to you and they're like, hey, mom. You're like, what? And it's just like,
he's like, I just want a banana. You're like, oh, Sonny,
get yourself. Get your fucking self. Like, I think the worst I've ever felt with the anger, and I remember it so it'll never leave my mind, was, and like, I kind of blame the dog for this one, but he's blamed for everything these days. So like, maybe it was just the beginning of the end for him. But Raphael was crying, and I don't think he had colic, but he was just an uncomfortable baby. Like, he's stiff. He couldn't put him down. He was just not happy, but baby Bjorn. So I put him in the baby Bjorn, and the baby Bjorn was not working. And he was crying and crying and crying and crying. And then Lorenzo was like starting to get upset. And then I remember like lifting Raphael up in the air. And I remember just being like, what do you want? Nothing is good. He's 2 months old. He can't answer me. He couldn't even try to answer me if he wanted. And I remember Lorenzo looking at me like with this face of, whoa, mom is mad. And then as soon as I did that, the dog barked and it just set me over to the point where I'm like, I need to go into another room. And all of the people tell you it's okay to just put them down,
Walk away,
and go into another room, walk away, close the door. They can cry for like 10 minutes. They're gonna be okay. And I remember, like, I don't know whose voice popped into my head, but it was like, you can walk away now. And I'm like, okay. And I walked away. I sat the it's funny, like they both stopped crying the minute I left the room. Apparently it was just me. And I remember sitting in Lorenzo's chair and just like ugly crying to myself. And Chris came home later that day. He was like, how was the day? I'm like, awful. And I don't think I ever told anybody that. So that's fun. Don't judge me on the internet.
Well, I think it's important because I think as mothers, most people have been through a very similar scenario that you're experiencing, because I know that I have. And you're right. Like, if you recognize that that's what's happening, put the child down, walk away, collect yourself, and then ask for help. Reach out to somebody. Tell someone that you are going through this right now and that you need help, because you need other people to know that you're going through this.
And you know what? I'm thinking back now. I think he was actually younger. I think he was closer to like maybe 10 or 14 days old. No, that was COVID. So no, he was about a month old. And I think I called you guys. I think I was like just beside myself in like, this baby sucks. Like, I love him so much, but he will not stop crying. He's uncomfortable. And I think you and Joanne like booked it to my house with toddlers in tow. I don't know who was pregnant at the time. Maybe it was you. Friend was pregnant. You were pregnant. And everybody came over with their toddlers and we played with pool noodles. And I forgot that my baby sucked for like 3 hours. And I was like, this is nice. I like this. And it worked. So the asking for help, I think, came easier with the second. Definitely didn't have happen as much with the first. And, you know, COVID had to do with that as well. But
yeah. And we all want to be, we want to be super moms. We want to pretend like we can do it all, but it does come around better the more you get into it. But you need to tell somebody, like your partner, your best friend, like just let someone know that you're going through that, because then if anything happens or if you feel a certain way again, you've already told someone once. It's easier to be like, hey, like I'm having a hard time. And then they'll take you seriously too when you say that.
Exactly.
I just want to make sure that like we tell you guys that, our experiences are our experiences and we're not giving any sort of medical advice. So always reach out to your doctor when you're feeling any type of way.
Sad, happy, hungry, thirsty, but mostly sad. Don't call your doctor if you're thirsty. That's an easy fix, you guys. Just go to your fridge, grab some water.
Do you think
you do not want to waste $30 on copay for water?
Do you think that because you I know that you did, I think, combination feeding with like Lorenzo, like breastfeeding and pumping, or did you strictly just pump with Lorenzo?
Lorenzo wouldn't do nothing. He was like, I don't like boobs. And so he was like, I will take a bottle only, please, mother. Warm it to the perfect temperature each time and pump it fresh, of course. I would do not even think that I would not want fresh first. But if you must rewarm the milk, fine, mother. Yes, I pumped. It was awful. And the fact that was my first experience with breastfeeding.
But you did it, man. You did it, what, 6 months?
Yeah, I did 6.5 months. 6.5 months. And I think I had, oh God, I don't even know. at the time, it was just, I wasn't a just enougher. I made a good amount. It wasn't an oversupply. Raphael had the oversupply. And I think that that is common. Like that happens second time around. Like you make a lot more second baby. And I didn't really know what an oversupply was with Lorenzo because I was like, well, this is just how much I pump out. And so if he drinks it, great. If not, it goes in the bag. Um, but I do think that that contributed a lot to my depression because I was down to the minute of, okay, I got a pump now. And he's up and there's a nap and then it's eat, play, sleep. And then it's, you know, maybe another top off, have a diaper. He goes down for a nap. How long is he going to nap? We never know. Newborns, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 4 hours. No schedule.
I with Charlotte, tried to breastfeed, couldn't really do it. Pumped a little bit. I think I pumped 4 ounces in a week, but I tried. I did a half ounce like every day. So my access to breast milk, I had donor milk. I had a good friend. She donated a couple 100 ounces, and then I found a long-term donor who donated a couple thousand. So not having to worry about where my kid's food is coming from, whether it was having to buy formula or having to pump, and having everything, like, I think that eased so much stress surrounding breastfeeding and
Oh my
pumping.
God.
Because now Cecilia and I are going a little over a year strong now, and that attachment to her, I think, fuels the postpartum more than anything I've ever experienced. I think that has everything
The
to do.
postpartum depression?
My postpartum, absolutely. I think that the connection and having to, be attached to another human for an entire year, however long you choose, every 2 hours, 3 hours. I think that contributed a lot the second time around.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people say that breastfeeding actually brings it down, brings down the chances of you having postpartum depression. But it's a lot. Like the weight literally of an entire baby is on your shoulders. Like you are the main feeding source for, depending on when you start to feed solids, 4 to 6 months, right? And I remember the last time that I pumped with Lorenzo. I don't remember that with Raphael, but it was like this sunny day in the summer, and I was like, I think I'm done today.
Yeah.
And I just stopped, and I can almost feel my body like just reacting to that memory of like, whew, like exhale, and I can't wait for that for you because I mean, I don't know how long you're willing to go or want to go or whatever it looks like, but I mean, you know it from Charlotte, right? It's like
Yeah.
that minute that you don't have to think about it as much anymore. It's like a great
It's a whole
big
new world.
Exhale. A new fantastic perky boob. I think that the postpartum anxiety one, I think that that term actually came out kind of around when I had Lorenzo, and saying that to other people where I'm like, postpartum anxiety, I definitely, yeah, oh yeah. Like I was anxious before, add a baby into it. Oh my God.
What are some of the thoughts that went through your head?
Oh my God. If we go 5 minutes past bedtime, he's going to have an absolute meltdown. He's going to scream and everybody's going to look at me and think I'm a terrible mother. And I need to get him home for bedtime. If I don't get him home for bedtime, I'm a bad mom and he's going to be tired and scream and I will have made his life miserable. It was terrible.
A lot of your anxiety, did it revolve around sleep?
Oh, 100%. All of it was sleep. It was my sleep, his sleep, Chris's sleep, other people's sleep. Just insane. And I noticed it a lot more with Raphael this time around. And I think that's why, I mean, both kids, you got to give it to postpartum anxiety because they're great sleepers. And I think it was because I was so regimented with their schedules because I wanted the 12-hour stretches as quickly as possible. Raphael's actually came a lot later than Lorenzo's, and I took it a lot more in stride. But Lorenzo, that was the goal. It was from day one, when does this kid start sleeping? Fun fact, everyone. From my experience in the newborn world, which is only 2 kids, 10 weeks. That light at the end of the tunnel is 10 weeks. And that is where they've hit that golden weight of like 9 to 10 pounds ish, maybe. Maybe they've really gotten breastfeeding down and they're just drinking more. Their circadian rhythm starts to kick in. You feel a little bit more confident. And like while you're still running on like maybe 6 hours of sleep, that's enough. The human body can run on 6 hours of sleep. I think too, like something that helped with Lorenzo and Raphael was I had a little Fitbit that told me how long I was sleeping at night. And so even just having the number on my phone pop up and be like, you slept for 5.5 hours. I'm like, 22-year-old Patty could survive off of 2 hours. 33-year-old Patty can absolutely survive off of 5.5. Let's do this. And
that's a good way of thinking about it too.
Yeah. And I'm like, and now if there's a night where they don't sleep or something happens where both of them wake each other up or whatever, I always think back to like the first 2 or 3 nights of Lorenzo's life. And that was the absolute most tired I've ever been in my life. And I'm like, every time I think of it now, I'm like, you have been more tired than you are now. You have hit worse than it is right now. You're going to survive. You're going to make it to Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. Like, it's going to be okay.
Positive self-talk in those weeks too is so important too.
So much. And even positive self-talk throughout everything now. Like if you have a big event coming up and you're like, man, we're going to have to push bedtime. We don't have outfits. I don't have an outfit. Where are we going? What are they going to eat? And all those thoughts start spiraling. Like, I know I still have a touch of PPA for sure. Not PPO.
Absolutely.
Not PPO. Do I have an HMO? No, I do have a PPO actually. But PPA is definitely still in my head, but I'm able to fight it off a little bit more.
Yep, that's exactly it.
And to the point where I'm like, you know, I've got this big family event, you know, I'm nervous about. I don't want to get them all dressed up. I don't want to dress up myself. What snacks am I going to bring? And I stop and I'm like, okay, what day is it today? February 2nd. The event's next week. And I think, are you going to make it to Valentine's Day? And I'm like, yeah, you're going to see Valentine's Day. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And come Valentine's Day or come the next big holiday, I'm like, see, you made it. It wasn't that bad. And that is how I've started to look at like the incremental life challenges that come to me. I'm like, am I going to make it to the next holiday? Probably. Probably. 95% sure. That 5% though, that's where they get you. Literally.
So I think my biggest struggle is I used to be like a social Sally. Okay. No matter where I was, who I was with, I could talk to anybody. I can still, there are some times now that I can still talk to anybody, but I used to be like literally like social Sally. I go to a party, everyone would like know my name by the end of the night because I just love talking to people. And that's how it really, like, I love to be out and about, and I was like just a life liver. And then after children, I found myself like when I would go grocery shopping, like head down, just like all business, do what I got to do, get home. And there was always just some like, there's intrusive thoughts is what they call it, is when you're like, if I'm driving on the freeway with my kids, I would be like, we're going to get into an accident. Like something is going to happen right now and we are going to die. Like it would always go back to my, like, someone is going to die is what my brain would always tell me. So I'd always be really focused on those things. And I had to start just saying out loud, like, you're safe. You're safe. To trick my brain into trying to understand that like there's no danger, there's no harm to be found here. You're making that up. Like you're safe. So that's my current struggle, and I've been a lot better out in public, like smiling and trying to like have conversations with people, but it's definitely not what it used to be.
Oh my God.
And every time I go out, I feel like I have to repeat like you're safe, you're safe, you're safe out loud to myself.
Isn't it crazy? Hormones, man, they change you.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I am so sorry.
I feel like I'm finally digging out of it though.
I'm happy because like that sucks. Like, you know, go to the grocery store, I'm safe. Like, are you? We live in America. Are we safe? I mean,
well, I have to see, Patty, you can't say that because I have to tell myself this to function, you know.
Sorry, you are safe. It's just
but another thing is body image, man. Like I used to look great. I would work out, eat healthy, feel good about myself. So confidence, like my confidence went to being 400% confident to maybe 4% confident. Like that is thrown out the window. So I don't have the I can do this kind of attitude that I used to have, or like I got this, or like I'm the shit. Like I don't feel like the shit. I feel like shit.
Just put that on a t-shirt. I am not the shit.
I used to be the shit.
Now I just
I used to be the shit. Now I just am shit.
Oh yeah. That's a great quote to put on a poster.
I used to be the shit and now I'm just having a shitty day.
I think, and like this is one thing that I took away from Sex and the City. I think I've told you this one before. Is Derek in the room? Because I'm about to.
No.
Okay, great. So I think the big thing with the confidence factor, and like I'm very lucky. I have a partner that, I mean, since the moment I met him, I have just been the one that he wants to be with in every form of the word. And it's great. It's also a confidence booster. It's also like, if you always want to be with me, then it's never really special. And so it's easier for me to just look like shit and be like, well, you know, chances are you're still gonna hit it. Sorry. I'm talking about confidence and, you know, all that good stuff, and eating gummy worms at the same time. But I think the one quote, and like this is gonna be a theme, like I take in our last episode, there's just some like wisdom words that always stay in my head, and this one is from Samantha from Sex and the City, or maybe it was the other one, Miranda, I don't know, one of them. And they're like, you know, have you ever been in a room naked with a man and he hasn't wanted to have sex with you, or he's just left, he's just walked out of the room? And I remember listening to that episode and going, huh, no. And that's where I get a lot of my, I don't know, I wouldn't say confidence, but that's where I get a lot of security in knowing like, okay, I mean, who am I really trying to attract here? It's just my husband, right? Like if he's good, I'm good. But I get like the walking around portion of it. Like I look at myself in some pictures and I'm like, why was I wearing that shirt? Oh, Lord, what, I thought I looked good then, eh? No, sweetie.
We are so judgmental of ourselves. And I promise you, if I looked at the same pictures, I'd be like, wow, like,
right, exactly. And that's the worst. Like, we're so critical of ourselves. Meanwhile, like, you know, you have a friend that is she's almost she's a year now postpartum. She's always looked great. And she's like, oh, you know, I gained so much weight and blah, blah, blah. I've been working out every day. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, you look great. I don't know what's wrong with you. And I think that.
But it's how we, right? It's how we like, it's how you look at yourself too.
Exactly.
It's wild because when people say those things to me that I'm like, you don't look like you've had a child, that doesn't mean that they don't feel like they've had a child. And you've got to be really careful with saying that to people sometimes. Like if they feel like vulnerable, like I feel like I look awful, I hate my body after children, and you're like, well, you don't even look like you had a kid. They still feel like they look like they've had a kid, and and I can't take that away from them. I can't, like, me saying that isn't gonna change their way that they look at themselves.
I think the little thing that we said like a couple minutes ago about fighting off those thoughts, like you get better at it as the years go on. And that's a thought, I think, especially for women, that just, when does it even start? I don't know. I don't remember when I started to think like this about myself. And I couldn't pinpoint it for you, but I want it to stop. Like, I don't want to have my life revolve around, you know, like, do I have a pooch here? Or, you know, are my arms flabby? Or why do my eyes have bags? And I'm like, why do I care so much? Like, am I really this important? Am I in front of thousands of people who are there just constantly looking at me? No, I'm in front of me and 2 kids, a dog, and a man who thinks the world of me. So I'm like, why the fuck am I putting this much pressure on myself? And it's so sad. It's just another whole, like, it's another therapy session for me that needs to be done. Oh, I think I have one tomorrow, actually. I'll bring it up.
What did you do to help yourself out of feeling that like body image, self-care? Like what are you doing to make yourself feel better?
I think after, and this is just for everyone, in the recent days, recent months, I've lost a good, at this point, probably 15 to 20 pounds. And you're probably thinking, wow, that's impressive. That's great. I'm so happy for you. You know, you look great. I realize now that it's never going to be enough. And it's so depressing. Like, I remember being at my heaviest and going, if only I can get down to this. If only I can get down to this. And I am at the point now where I'm 5 pounds away from the goal weight that I thought in my head 20 pounds ago I would be so happy at. And I'm like, we can go a little longer. We can go more. We can do a little bit more. And I'm like, why? My pants fit great. Like, I don't need to do this anymore. But it's just that constant want of like, you want to look better for who? And I know you're on the same journey right now with, you know, working out and going to the gym and stuff, and you know, diets, and
it's so hard.
It's exhausting.
Man. And man, I did keto after Charlotte. I lost like 27 pounds in 3.5 months. I lost it very quickly. I was also going to the gym every single day, so there's a lot of just, I really hounded it like bad. And then I immediately got pregnant, you know, after I lost the weight, and trying to lose it now, like after having 2 children, that takes discipline. Like not just wanting to eat cookies and chips at the end of the day because you didn't have dinner, but everyone else's bellies are full and you don't want to have to cook more food to then do more dishes because it's 8 o'clock at night at this point. You just want to sit down and relax. Like that's kind of where I'm at now. I got to put in the 110% of the effort that, you know, I've already given 100%. Got to put an extra 10 to 15 after my 100% is exhausted in order to lose weight right now. And it's so much effort. And the more babies you have, the harder it is to lose. The more effort it takes.
And it's like,
takes more effort.
Compounding interest, man.
It is compound interest.
I don't even know. I'm not good with finances.
Because then you're older too. Like I'm approaching 30. Once you get to be like 30, losing weight is 2 times as hard than when you're in your 20s.
Yep. All of that checks out. And my whole thing was like, I was so happy that you lost all the weight with keto, but I also knew that you wanted more kids. And in my head, I'm like, why waste your time? I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun at all. Like, do it after you have the last kid. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I was at an unhealthy point though, where like I was binge eating. Binge eating is huge for me. Like, in order to not binge eat, I have to cut it all out. Like I will have to do keto again so that I don't eat the chips at the end of the night. But
right. No, that checks out. And it all goes back to, what am I doing this for? You know? So I've tried to re-segment my brain.
Mindset. Yeah.
Your mindset, and try to figure out, you know, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this for my partner? Am I doing this for the kids? And I do find that I think the anxiety and the depression and the rage, if that's what ails you, as it did for me, I think that it does quiet a little bit if you're doing things
Absolutely.
for you. And that is
For you.
that extra 10% that you were just talking about, like you do 100% for everybody else, that 10% is what you have to do to quiet the mind, I guess you could say. So whether that's working out or having the whole bag of Doritos or, you know, going out with friends or whatever, um reading a
Reading a book.
book. Oh my god, reading. What a time.
Yeah, taking a bath. Showers aren't self-care, okay? I'm going to say it again. Taking a shower is not self-care. You are just cleaning yourself so that you don't smell. Even if you take a half-hour shower, it's still not. Like you take that half hour and then you go get your nails done or go to the gym or do something to make yourself feel good.
Yep, I agree with all of that. I don't even think that going to Target is one, because while I do black out in Target and it is somewhat of a therapy session, a lot of the times I do buy stuff for the kids and, you know, for the house and stuff, and it's still a running list. So I'm not a massage person. I'm not a spa day person. I am a buy me a plane ticket, get me the fuck out of here. I want to go to a beach and have some man hand me a margarita and then keep them coming until I am on that chair looking like a lobster. And that is my self-care. Sunburns. Bring it on. But I realize that not everybody can do that.
Sunburns and
Sunburns
margaritas.
and margaritas. Yeah, that's another t-shirt right there. Oh my god. We're going to be at an apparel company.
Is there? I'm actually in the makes of a merch shop right now. I'll add it to the list.
Add Michaela's merch shop to your
add to cart.
Right there. Sunburn, and what did I say?
Sunburns and margaritas.
Sounds great.
Our self-care.
I mean, don't get a sunburn if you like don't want one, but it's fine. I think that the big portion of postpartum is people going, when the fuck is this going to end? Like, when am I going to feel better? When are my kids going to be better? When is my marriage going to be better, or my relationship, whatever it looks like? And I can confidently say that I am still in it, so I don't have a good answer. No, but for serious,
let me piggyback. I will never sit here and tell a new mom that things get easier. I just think that you learn to adapt better. It's a transition, whether you're welcoming your first, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth, go you.
Oh my God, go you. Seriously. Anybody with 2+ kids right now, amen. You are doing legit.
Braver than we are.
You are populating the earth. Thank you for taking one for the team, because we are not doing that.
It's a transition. Your entire household now has to transition to a new sleep schedule, a new eating schedule. You know, there's more laundry to do. There's more dishes to do. There's dirty diapers, you know, more things to shop for. When you get into the temper tantrum stage, like every single thing you do in motherhood is going to be a transition. But each transition period, I think, gets easier. Like if you're in the toddler stage, welcome to hell. But I promise you, it gets easier. Hell kind of freezes over a little bit, you know? And when your kids get to that boundary pushing stage, they're going to push, but with every push, you just push them back. I'm going to cut that out.
Not physically, everyone. Don't push your children, all right? Don't.
I'm cutting that
unless
right
it's
out.
into
I
a
don't know
pool.
where I was going with it.
Don't push them. Little kick. No, I'm just joking. Just JK.
But it's so important to know that you will figure it out. I'm not going to say it's going to get easier, but I'm going to say you're going to figure it out. You're going to get a routine and a rhythm down in those first early newborn stage. If you're in it right now, get outside.
Oh my God,
go outside. When the sun is out, go outside. I don't care if you have to drive around with your newborn until they fall asleep and then you sit in your car and bask in the sunshine through the window. Get outside. It is so helpful. Get out into the world.
I think that the sun does a lot because it gets that vitamin D up in there. Mm-hmm.
And we're from, Michigan, so we don't get vitamin D year round like a lot of other
We're
people
raising
do.
our children in the dark. There's no sun up here, you guys. Send the sun. I agree with everything you're saying. I also think that it doesn't get easier, it just gets better. Like you get better.
Yeah.
Your partner gets better. Your older kid gets better. Your younger kid gets better, and then they switch. And then they get bad again. But don't worry, you're already better. So, I was literally just talking about this with one of my girlfriends the other day, and she just said, tell me that it gets better. And I texted her back. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you that because right now, she's in the newborn stage. She's 2 under 2. Like, she is definitely in it right now. And I'm like, you get better. The situation doesn't, but you will. And she was like, that's helpful. I'm like, no problem. Here to be positive. So yeah, it's
okay to ask for help.
It's okay to ask for help.
You're a good mom. You're a good mom.
Sunburns and margaritas, man. I'm not the shit. I just am shit. But you are the shit, even if you smell like shit. Take a shower. From one mom to another, fucking take a shower. I can smell you from here. No, it's not. It's more just a favor for us.
But it's not. It's not self-care.
So
take a shower and then go to Target.
Join us next week for another episode. Where did the village go? Why does everyone say that it takes a village to raise a kid? Where are they? Is the village in another state? I'd like to know why I didn't move to the right village.
Join us next week when we go on a grand adventure to find the fucking village that is supposed to help us raise our kids. Until next week, drop a comment.
Comment if you didn't like it.
Liked it.
That's fine too.
Follow.
We like all
subscribe,
comments.
Share
comments
it.
Help us in every way.
If you hated it, tell us what you hated, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Join us next week as we find the fucking village.
Have a great week.
Thank you.